Hello and welcome to this route learning video for the Scotland Express line for Trainsim World 3. My name's Richard and I'm a freight train driver and former passenger train driver based in the southeast of England. Today we're going to be driving a Class 385 service from Edinburgh Waverley to Glasgow Queen Street and learning the speed limits and the braking points for the stations along the way, so you can learn to drive the route professionally and hopefully without the HUD. Without further ado, let's jump in. So here we are on board 1 Romeo 05, the 0559 Edinburgh Waverley to Glasgow. I've got the cab set up, I've got all the safety systems enabled, as you can hear right there, and we're just waiting for our departure time at 0600. Our service today will call at Haymarket, Lithgow, Polmont, Falkirk High, Croy and Glasgow Queen Street. I'll leave the HUD on so you can see what I'm getting up to with the controls. And we've got a green signal, we're 20 mile an hour leaving Edinburgh Waverley. So this video is going to be focusing on the route, the speed limits and the braking points, so you can drive the route with ease and hopefully HUDless. If you want to see my full review on the Class 385 and the route, then do check out that video as well. That's a good start to a route learning video, we're already speeding. I will overlay on the screen as well the names of the tunnels and junctions as we go along. So once we clear the point work up ahead, the line speed will increase to 50 miles an hour, and it's not too far to Haymarket Station. So there's our 50 just coming into view up ahead. As soon as the back of the train's clearer from that, we will accelerate up to 50. Now Haymarket Station is just at the end of this tunnel, although finding a braking point for it can be quite difficult, so I didn't manage to find any set braking point. You just kind of need to judge this one by looking at where the station is as it comes up. If you aim to be exiting the tunnel at around about 30 miles an hour, between 25 and 30 miles an hour, then you're not going to go far wrong. On the 385, a good brake setting to use is around 60% for your initial brake application. That's the equivalent to brake step 2 in trains with a combined power brake handle. And we're looking for the forecast stop marker. And we're all stopped, the doors are on our left. We can make use of the TMS for the announcements now.
Welcome to the ScotRail service to Glasgow Queen Street.
If you watch my full review video, then we'll go through the TMS in a little bit more detail and have a look at some of the stations and some outside views on the route.
The next station is Lithgow.
So we are 50 miles an hour at the moment. The line speed will increase to 90 just after the end of the platform, and then up to 100 once we get by the depot. The line to Carstairs diverges to our left here at Haymarket East Junction. Just out of view to our right we've got Haymarket Sprinter Depot and the carriage sidings. Just passing through the neutral section there. Remembering to shut off power as we do. And there's our 100 mile an hour speed limit. It's around about a 10-minute run now to Linlithgow. If you want to just find out where the breaking point is for that station, then do skip the video ahead, or you can stay with me for the ride. Just heading off to our right there are the lines to Fife. On the Class 385, Power Notch 2 seems to be reasonably good for holding 100 miles an hour. So just coming into view now, we've got Edinburgh Park Station. And we can see the tram going across the top there. So we do have an 80 mile an hour restriction coming up very soon, which is for the viaduct. The name of the viaduct escapes me at the moment, I'm afraid, but I will pop it on the screen for you now. So as you come around the corner here, you've got the farm buildings on the right. It's a good place to shut off power, which just allows the train to coast back to that 80 mile an hour restriction. The lines towards Bathgate diverge here at Newbridge Junction. 30 board in the cess there to our left applies to the routing into the loop on the left. So speeds come back quite nicely. You may need a touch of brake just for the 80. Looking out for that farm building and then the passing loop is your kind of key that you're getting near. So you may have noticed as we come onto the viaduct there was an 80 and a 90 board. The 90 board enables certain classes of trains to travel at a higher speed. The class 385 that we're driving is permitted to travel at 90 across this viaduct according to the sectional appendix, which is the driver's bible of routes and speeds and route information. However, the simulator has the speed set for 80, so that's what we'll go with. Just keeping power notch 2 in there just to keep that 80 mile an hour speed restrictions up, and in around half a mile the line speed will go up to 90 and then back up to 100. So there is our 90. I do feel with the length of this route, it's a very easy route to master in terms of route learning. There's some pretty good landmarks on it for your braking points. And it's not an overly complicated route. There's not too many speed limit changes on the route. So it's a very easy route to master. And there's our 100. Again, just using power notch 2 to hold that at around 100. So all the braking points I'm giving you in this video require roughly 60% brake force, which like I said earlier is equivalent to brake step 2 in a train with a combined power brake handle. The braking points that I give you will bring you down quite nicely for the station, but you may need to just give it a little bit more or take a little bit more off just to the sake of variation. So this bridge here is a good place to shut off. You're 1.5 miles out of Linlithgow. And just before the bend, we're looking for a TPWS loop in the forefoot in the track. So the speed's naturally coming down as we shut off the power. And just coming up now, we'll see the TPWS loop. There it is. And we're going to put the brakes into 60% here. And we're coming down quite nicely for the station. Still in 60%, and we may need to pull that back just a little bit as we're coming into the platform. But we are a 4-car train, so we're stopping halfway down the platform here. So we're just going to pull that brake back a little bit. We got a little bit past the stop car mark there, but nothing too dramatic. We are doors on the left.
This is Linlithgow. Welcome to the ScotRail service to Glasgow Queen Street. The next station is Holmont.
And we've made very good time coming in there. Like I said, depending on the weather conditions in game and the speed you're approaching, you may need to adjust these braking points slightly, but they will see you more or less okay for the station. And if you drive this route well and you find good braking points, then you'll quite often find yourself running into stations a little bit early. And what that means to me as a train driver is that my shut-off, my coasting point could have been a little bit earlier. So rather than holding the speed up at 90, 100, I could have shut off a little bit earlier and saved a little bit more energy. So our speed limit's currently 100, but as we leave Linlithgow here, the speed is going to drop to 90 just at the end of the platform. It's not too far to Polmont, only 4.7 miles. The speed between Lithgow, here at Lithgow and Polmont will go 90 at the end of the platform, back to 100, then back to 90. So what we tend to do is just keep the speed at 90 all the way through. It's only a short section of 100. This would be one of those situations where if you were running late, then you could increase your train speed to 100 to get a couple of minutes back. But if you maintain 90 all the way through, then you'll keep time. And we're just taking that power back there just to hold it at around 90. Your 100 board's just coming up on the left hand side, but like I said, it is only a short section of 100. So if you are running a little bit late, you can take full advantage of that, but under normal running, 90 miles an hour will see you just fine. Just coming into view on our right, we can see the link line to the Bowness and Kinneil Railway. So what we're looking out for on the approach to Polmont is a series of bridges close together. That's our shut-off point. And where the speed limit drops back to 90 will be our braking point. So we can see the bridges coming up ahead of us, and we're going to shut back the power at the first bridge. And we're just looking out for that 90 board, which is where we're going to put 60% brake in. Just see it coming up on the left hand side ahead. And there we go, 60%. So the approach there does seem quite slow, but that is coming in very nicely. As with Linlithgow, we are a 4-car train, so we're not going all the way to the end of the platform. We are stopping around halfway down the platform at this station. So I haven't touched the brakes there. We've gone into 60%, which has brought us into the station very nicely. Just releasing them there, as we are coming in a little bit slow. And my apologies, we are stopping at the end of the platform here. We have an S-car marker on the end of the platform.
We'll soon arrive at Polmont.
And there we go, we're a 4-car train on the 4-car mark, doors on the left. Again, coming in nice and early there. Which means we possibly could refine those braking points and shutting off points a little bit more. So our line speed's currently 90 miles an hour as we leave Polmont. As soon as we clear the point work, the line speed will increase to 100. However, we're only going to go to 90 miles an hour. Our braking point for the next station, which is Falkirk High Platform, will be the tunnel. And there's our 100 board, but we only want to take it up to 90. We only have 2.5 miles to Falkirk. Or should I say Falkirk High Platform, not to be confused. And we're just approaching 90 there, so we're just going to take the power off. My apologies, the braking point you're looking out for is the bridge just before the tunnel. When I was trying this, the braking at the tunnel doesn't quite bring you down in time. You can still stop if you use more than 60% brake, but generally speaking, driving trains, using full brake everywhere is not good practice. If you're using full brake everywhere, you have nothing in reserve, so 60% tends to be a happy medium. And there's the tunnel. This is the bridge we're looking out for, so we're going to drop to 60% brake right here as we approach Falkirk High Platform. The tunnel can make it very difficult to judge your distance, so just have faith. And we are a little bit slow there, so just taking the brake off slightly.
We'll soon arrive at Falkirk High.
And we're just looking for that forecast stop mark. Which we can just see on the left hand side there. All stopped, 4 on the 4.
This is Falkirk High. Welcome to the ScotRail service to Glasgow Queen Street. The next station is Croy.
Again, keeping time quite nicely there. And we're on our way. The next station for us will be Croy. And between Falkirk High Platforms and Croy there are no speed changes. It's 100 miles an hour throughout. So our braking point for Croy will be as we come past the rock face, and again we're looking for a 60% brake application. And we're just using my favourite power position there, power notch 2, just to maintain that around 100. Anywhere between 95 and 100 is good. If we hold the speed bang on 100, then we've got more of a chance of it creeping up slightly and us starting to speed. So somewhere between 95 and 100 gives us a little bit of tolerance. It's fast enough so we don't lose time, and it's not too fast where we're risking overspeeding. So we have now started to climb. The speed's coming off a little bit. I'm just going to give it a little bit more power. Get slightly closer to 100. So what we're looking for up ahead is a road rail vehicle access point. Or possibly it's a foot crossing just coming up here. That's our shut-off point. And just as we come through on the rocks, through the rock cutting, is where we want to use our 60% brake application. There's our rock cutting, so we're going to put our 60% brake application in right about now. I will write all my braking points down in the description below, so if you want to copy them down and use them when driving the route yourself, you can do. And I'd be very interested to hear if you have any other braking points that you use that may be a bit better than the ones I've picked out. You're going to need a little bit more brake coming into here. We're on a slight downhill gradient. So my next run I'll amend my braking point and I will know to put the 60% in either a little bit before the rocks or maybe try 65 to 70% braking.
This is Troy. Welcome to the ScotRail service to Glasgow Queen Street. The next station is Glasgow Queen Street. If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to staff or text the British Transport Police on 61016. We'll sort it. See it, say it, sorted.
So leaving Croy, the line speed is still 100 miles per hour. So the next thing we're looking out for on the route is Lenzie Station, and my apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong. As I said at the beginning of the video, I'm based in the southeast of England, so couldn't get further away from this route. So we're going to take the train up to 100 and we're just going to maintain that speed there. So I'm going to shut back the power around 95 miles an hour, back to my favourite power notch, notch 2. However, we are on a slight downhill gradient, so we will just monitor that speed. So we can see Lenzie Station coming up in the distance ahead of us. And we are going to get some speed limit changes in a minute. We'll be dropping to 85, then 70 and 50. So coming through Lenzie Station is a good place to shut off power. Like I said, the line speed will drop to 85 soon. We're on a downhill gradient, just levelled out, so we allow the train to take the strain. And we're just coming past, and again, apologies for my pronunciation, Cada or Cada Depot. So we've already rolled back for the 85. However, like I say, after the 85, we will be dropping again to 70 and then 50, and we are on a slight downhill gradient. So we're coasting, which is eco-friendly driving, and we're just letting the train do all the work. So the 85 just at the start of the platform here at Bishopsbrig. And the next speed we're looking out for is our 70 in just over half a mile. And because we've shut off early at Lenzie, we are already under that speed restriction. And we will need a little bit of brake. There's a 50 coming up just after the 70, and we will most likely need a little bit of brake to come down for that. There we go. So we'll just drop a little bit of brake. It does come up on you quite quickly, that 50 there, so probably a little bit more brake than I would like. But we are quite nicely down for that now. Eastfield Depot we have on our left, and our next speed restriction will be just before the tunnel at Glasgow Queen Street, which will be a 30 mph restriction. So as we start to come around to the right in a moment, we'll see the tunnel ahead. And we can see the start of the tunnel up ahead, so we're just going to get a little bit of brake in now. It's It's a very steep downhill gradient into Glasgow Queen Street. Your speed can pick up very quickly. So we're 30 just before we go into the tunnel, and then after the first signal within the tunnel, there are 2 signals in the tunnel. After the first signal in the tunnel, the line speed will drop again to 20. Just being aware of that downhill gradient, that will push the speed up, and obviously make braking take a little bit longer because the gradient's working against you. So I'm just keeping that braking to come down for that 20, which commences just after the first signal there. I'm going to bring the speed down to about 15 because of the downhill gradient. That just gives us a little bit of wiggle room as the speed starts to pick up again. And there's our 20 board on the left. As we can see, the speed's already come back to 20, so we just drop a little bit of brake in. And just keeping an eye on that speed, because as I've already said, it really does start to creep up on you very quickly. And entering a terminal platform, we want to be doing no more than 15 miles an hour at the platform ramp.
We'll soon arrive at Glasgow Queen Street.
And then 10 miles an hour for the TPWS loops on the approach to the buffer stops. And we want to be aiming to stop approximately 6 foot away from the buffer stops. And even with the coasting all the way from Lenzie, we're still running about 10 seconds early. So we are doors on the right. And of course, stopping on the buffer stops, we'll set our DRA, because that is classed as a red signal, and put the train into neutral. Although I keep going for off. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me on this route learning trip from Edinburgh through to Glasgow. Hopefully you'll join me on the return trip from Glasgow back to Edinburgh. Like I say, if you do want to see my full review on this route, then do please check out that video or join me in one of my live streams. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you have enjoyed this, and you're also more than welcome to join our Discord server where we talk about trains, planes and general life matters, and you'll find an invitation link to that in the description. You can also check out my social media channels, which are on the screen for you right now. Thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you again in another video very soon.